Hello beautiful souls, my name is Rajja and I am a tarot reader and oracle with the Relationship Psychics, and today I'm doing a tarot reading for you about the month of June 2022. This reading today is going to take a look at the overall energy of the month that you'll be dealing with in June, as well as a more detailed look into your career studies, your love life, and your personal or spiritual life. I'll also be doing a bit of a timeline to see how things are going to progress over the month of June, and we'll end the reading with a little bit of advice for you for the month ahead. So if you're watching this at the end of May or the beginning of June, it still applies to you. We have 3 piles for you to pick from today. We have pile number 1 with the rose quartz heart, pile number 2 with the amethyst heart, and pile number 3 with the peach aventurine heart. So just take a moment, take a deep breath, close your eyes if you need to, and let yourself look at these 3 piles and see which one calls to you the most. And then you can skip ahead to the timestamp in the description below to take you straight to your reading. And before I give you a moment of silence to look at these cards, I just want to say that if you like these readings and you'd like to see more of them, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, share, comment, and let me know what pile you chose. I would love to hear from you and how this reading resonates with you. You can even come back at the end of June and let me know how this reading turned out for you in the month of June 2022. So I'll give you a moment to pick your pile and then we'll get started. Hi there, pile number 1. If you chose the rose quartz heart, then this is your reading for the month of June 2022. And to start out, we're just going to get a general overview of the month and the energy that you may be dealing with during the month. Then we'll get a little more detailed about certain areas, as well as looking at a sort of timeline of the month as it may proceed for you. And then we will get you some advice. And of course, you could be watching this anytime at the end of May, during the month of June, doesn't matter. This will still apply to you. So to start out, we've got some oracle cards here. We have the partner, the rider, and the ship. We have seeking knowledge, wisdom, searching, learning, clean it up, and sincerity. And we also have paired and ebullient, I believe is how it's pronounced. Alright, so for the overall energy of your month, I'm definitely picking up something to do with another person. It seems that you're either learning something surprising or maybe even hearing from a person that's kind of a surprise that you didn't think you were going to hear from, or they tell you something that you weren't expecting to hear from them. This is going to start a sort of journey for you in the month of June to kind of figure out where you stand and what's happening. And this is kind of a process. It's going to be very slow, and you're going to have to sort through a lot of feelings and what you thought you knew and what you know now. You may be realizing that the person you thought you wanted to be with isn't actually the person you want to be with anymore. You may be changing your mind about the sort of relationship that you want, and you're trying to sort that out in the month of June. I can see that you're definitely trying to get away from like the outside noise and what everyone else is trying to tell you to think and do regarding your relationships. If you're in a relationship, your partner may spring something on you that kind of changes the way you see them or the relationship, not necessarily in a bad way. This could be someone expressing their sincere feelings for you just out of the blue, out of nowhere, and it starts this kind of long journey of trying to figure out how this plays into your plans, how you're going to go about figuring out your feelings for this person. I definitely don't see it being a bad thing. There are a lot of butterflies in this spread right here. We've got one here. Of course, this one is a butterfly. There's a butterfly on this card. So I definitely see things changing, and it feels a little messy at first, like you're not exactly sure that this is for the best, but you're not just dropping it and running away. You're trying your best to learn along with the changes and to find some kind of center in these changes so that you can figure out what's best for you and how you really feel. You're definitely clearing out old energy to make room for new things to grow. And you may end up, if this is a new person, you may end up getting into a relationship in the month of June. We're going to take a look at a little more detail on certain areas of your life. So we'll see what comes up for your love life. But first, for your career, we have, or career or studies, it depends what point you're at in your career path at this point. So we have judgment, as well as watching a clever creature's intelligence and following an authentic thought. So, what this tells me is in your career or studies that you're learning a new, so it feels like you're kind of going in a direction that really feels right for you in your career in the month of June. You may have a realization of what you want to do or where you want to go. You might finally decide on a major or a job position. It feels like things are very much opening up, and you are letting your authenticity lead the way rather than just sitting back and letting things happen to you. You are taking the lead in your career life or in your school life and making sure that where you're heading is exactly where you want to be. And you may realize this because you saw the smallest thing and it kind of sparked in your mind. It sparked this inspiration in your mind that was like, oh, everything suddenly makes sense now. That's what I want to do. So for your love life, we have the 9 of Swords, as well as enduring a revered struggle. So this makes a lot of sense with what I was seeing before. You're going to have a lot of worries and anxiety surrounding your love life in the month of June. It's going to feel very difficult at first to sort through your feelings and to sort through what's going on in your relationship if you're in one. Whatever changes are coming about are definitely causing you some anxiety because you're not sure where you're going. And it's gonna feel like you're hiking uphill most of the month, just trying to get to the peak so you can find some clarity. But I want you to know that if you continue on and you keep pushing, you're going to get to the end of that struggle, and this clarity is going to come to you. If you clean up around yourself, your energy and your feelings, then you will get to the bottom of this, and you will figure out where you want to go and who you want to be with during the month of June. So lastly, we have your personal and spiritual life, and for that we have the 8 of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and implementing a responsible study. So this definitely speaks to me of exploring your feelings. It definitely feels like you're learning some new things about yourself and about what you want. You may isolate yourself a bit in the month of June to figure this out, and you may feel a little tied up in it all, like this realization, this knowledge came out of nowhere and you weren't expecting it, so you kind of feel like you can't move. You're trapped in this sudden realization, and It may feel like a bad thing at first. It may feel like a restriction at first, but you're going from feeling bound to this sudden new beginning and learning these new things about yourself because you take the time to really figure it out, to clean it up, to get to the bottom of your sincere, true, authentic feelings. And that's the most important thing. So I don't necessarily see anything happening like you getting into a relationship or anything big changing in the month of June, but I definitely see you taking the steps to make those changes, taking the steps to figure out what changes need to be made and where you want to go and where you want to be. So next we're going to do a little more of a timeline of the month of June. So we're gonna take the tarot, and there are 5 calendar weeks in the month of June. So I've pulled 5 cards that will kind of represent the timeline of the month of June, and they may not be exact with each card representing an exact week, but this is essentially the layout of your month and how it's going to go. So we start with the 5 of Cups, as well as emotions and hidden depths. Then we have the Star, as well as motivate and generosity. We have the 5 of Swords, as well as refresh and twilight. We have the 6 of Pentacles, as well as observe and beginnings. And finally, we have the Lovers, as well as focus and share. So this is the timeline of your month of June. It definitely doesn't really start out on the best note. The beginning of the month of June is going to be a very emotional time for you, and I can see you kind of focusing more on the negative side of those emotions at first. You kind of get into your own feelings, and you are only seeing the surface at first, and you're not digging deeper to find the truth of the matter or the positive side of what's happening in June. So you're definitely having a hard time coping with whatever this is that's going on in your life in the month of June. However, as it goes on, we come into the Star, which is the card of hope and inspiration and finding a guiding light. And as with motivate and generosity, I definitely see that you kind of do a 180 and you find the spark of light in the darkness that gives you hope for the future and makes you realize that whatever this is that's happening to you is not actually as bad as it may seem. And actually, it might be a good thing in the end if you look at it in a certain light and you're starting to find direction and you're starting to feel like you can move forward. It's important to be very kind to yourself during these times when you're trying to figure these things out, because it's difficult to have such a sudden change go on and to deal with deep feelings that maybe you didn't know you had before. But as the month goes on, with the 5 of Swords and refresh, I definitely see that you need a timeout and you need some time alone. But this is like your final moments of, like, I don't want to say self-pity, but like your final moments of worrying about this. You take off, you feel a little selfish, you don't want anyone around you, you just need some time to recharge. And that's okay. Sometimes you need that alone time. So around the middle of the month, you may feel like just dropping everything and doing you. And there's nothing at all wrong with that, because that's how we recharge. And this twilight, the last hour of the day when we go in tonight, you're definitely sort of feeling like you need that release, that you need to surrender yourself to letting go of whatever you've been holding on to, and to just sort of flow into the next phase. It's like transitioning from one thing to the next. And we go into the Six of Pentacles from that, as well as observe and beginnings. And this to me tells me that you are kind of sussing out this person or this situation. You're kind of trying to figure out, you're starting small, and you're taking baby steps, and you're trying to figure them out, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and just taking the smallest little steps just to see kind of how the reaction is and what happens when you lean into this change a little more. And you're kind of giving more of yourself to it, and you're opening up more just to see what happens. And it's not a big change, it's not a big step forward, but that's okay. You needed the time to figure it out, and now you're at the step where you need to kind of open up and give yourself permission to explore this possibility and see what comes of it. And then at the end of June, we have the Lovers and focus, as well as share. And I feel like this is telling us that you're definitely making a connection at the end of June. Sometime in the final week or weeks, right before July starts, you're making a connection with this person or with yourself and what you want. You're making a decision. The Lover is a card of decisions and choices. You have figured out what it is that you want to do in this situation, and you're putting all of your focus on that. You are putting all of your energy into that connection that you've made, and you're telling people about it. You're sharing your feelings, and you're sharing what it is you want to do. So you definitely go from a place of feeling kind of down and low about this whole situation to just kind of figuring it out and following your own inner light and your own guiding star to lead you to the point where you know exactly what it is that you want. So, before I let you go, I just want to get you a little bit of advice. I think it's always important to have guidance when you're doing tarot readings, because that is where tarot shines the most. So I've just got a few cards here for your advice from Spirit, the universe, the divine, whatever you ascribe to personally. We have the Six of Cups, Serenity and Healing, Citrine, Clarity, Clouds of Nine, and Success. Today is a really good day. You're in the flow. Problems are solved quickly and easily. Helpful people show up for you, and unexpected gifts fall into your lap. So what I see from this for your advice is kind of just to let yourself flow into whatever it is that's meant for you. The month of June may not be the easiest for you, but you're learning a lot about yourself. You're learning a lot about what you want. You're learning a lot about what will make you happy. And I feel that you're really getting a lot of negative energy out of your life in the month of June. And you're finding a way to be happy with where you are. You're finding a way to feel happy with what you have. And you're starting to feel successful in the things that you have now. Not every day is going to be super duper happy all the time, positive energy, love and light. But knowing that you have that reserve of happiness and light inside of yourself that you can call on at any time is so important. That's how you end up figuring these things out. That's how you end up finding your way back to the light when you feel like you're just hiding in the dark. And I feel like there may be a person that you need to help you with this. Maybe someone from your past, someone you've known a long time, a friend, a partner that will help you find this sense of peace, along with you just figuring it out on your own. There's definitely a lot of light energy around you, and you just have to sort through the grimy stuff to find it. So I just want to get you a affirmation before you go from the Dreamer's deck. So could we please have an affirmation for pile number 1? Could we please have an affirmation for pile number 1? I know that pure joy is the result of being in alignment with my soul. I am true to myself. Thank you so much for watching this reading, pile number 1. I hope that it brought you some insight that you were looking for, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing month of June. Thank you so much for watching, and come back next time for my next reading. Bye! Hello, pile number 2. If you chose the Amethyst Heart, then this is your reading for June 2022. And today we're going to start out with just looking at the general energy and the things you may be dealing with during the month of June as a whole, the major energy that's surrounding the month for you. We will take a bit of a detailed look at your career or studies, your love life, and your personal or spiritual life. And then we will get a sort of timeline of events that are happening in June across the weeks, and we will end with some advice and guidance from the other side for you for the month of June. So let's start out with these oracle cards that'll give us an idea of the energy you're dealing with for the month of June. We have the Star, the Moon, and the Dog. We have Waiting, Alertness, Preparation, Watchfulness, Unfinished Symphony, and Beginnings. And we have Rebirth and Aquarius. So I'm getting the sense that you have sort of got this hope in your heart for something to happen in the month of June. There is something that you've been wishing for and kind of just watching for, waiting for it to happen. And you're hoping that it'll happen in the month of June. This thing that you want could include a friend or family member or someone you're very close to. You could be hoping that they come back into your life, that they contact you, but there definitely feels like there's a bit of unfinished business between the two of you, and that there's sort of some tangled up feelings, maybe in the sense of pride or just overthinking things that happened between you that has kind of prevented you both from reaching out to each other. But with this Rebirth card and the fact that we have the Star and the Moon makes me feel like there's a good chance that this starting over that you've been hoping for is going to happen. There at least will be a conversation, and you may be hoping to find some sort of closure with this person. There's definitely something starting in the month of June for you, and it's something that you've been waiting for. It's something that you've been hoping to reconcile from the past, and there's definitely a lot of really deep hidden emotions dealing with this. But I feel like you're starting to figure out how to tie up those loose ends, and maybe you reach out first and you spend part of the month just waiting for that person to message you back and give you some kind of sign that they understand where you're coming from. I definitely feel a lot of tension for you in the month of June. It's a lot of good tension with your hope and your wishing, but there's also some tension that feels like, what if this doesn't happen? And what if they don't want to talk to me? Or what if I don't get what I wanted? And I feel like you're very prepared for whatever happens, but you're also kind of leaning on the idea that you're going to get your way. And there's a good chance of that. There's a good chance of things, of the air clearing and of a reconciliation or whatever it is you want happening and kind of giving you a reboot. But you're definitely going to end up feeling very like, maybe even jumpy, like every time you get a message, you're checking your phone really fast to see if it's them, that kind of energy. And you gotta kind of relax and just wait for this to come to you, because I do see it coming in the month of June. And maybe in the timeline we'll be able to see more of when in June that's going to happen. But first we're going to look at a few areas of your life, starting with your career or studies. We have the Three of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and matching a close companion's love. So, for work and studies, I can see you maybe working on a group project, getting together with people that you admire, people that you care about, and figuring some stuff out, maybe solving some problems together. Even this could be a study group that you get together with. It could be a work group. It could just be your friends that are kind of helping you figure out what to do next in your career or in your study life. There's definitely a sense of celebration in these cards. You're definitely moving forward in the month of June with your career or studies, and you're going to feel very successful by the end of the month that you accomplished what it is you wanted to get done. So for your love life, we have the Queen of Cups and interpreting a revered intuition. So you're definitely in your feelings in your love concerning your love life in the month of June. You're learning how to balance your feelings and kind of trying to figure out what it is that you're feeling at this time, maybe for a specific person, maybe for just relationships in general. It feels like that you have maybe an inkling that someone has feelings for you, and if that's the case, you may spend most of the month of June trying to figure that out. Maybe this is the person that you reached out to and you're waiting for them to reach out back to you, and you just sort of spend most of the month trying not to get too emotional about it, trying to be very calm and collected and just sort of do things by the book, almost like you're this guy out in the forest, like carefully extracting plants. You're like extracting every detail and trying to master your emotions so that you don't get too out of hand about it. And for your personal and spiritual life, we have the Ten of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and confronting a close companion's reluctance. So you definitely in your personal life have a bit of a struggle ahead of you. There may be somebody in your life that's really challenging you at this time. Or it could even be you, like, putting too much pressure on yourself, putting too many responsibilities on yourself, feeling like you have to go out and do everything all the time. You have to say yes to everything all the time. But it's important that you don't pile too much on yourself in the month of June. You don't want to end up like with so many of these sticks on your back that you end up collapsing and having burnout. You don't want to be too impulsive about taking on new things in the month of June. You may also have someone in your life that's you're trying to talk into doing something with you, or you're trying to take on the burden for them so that they'll do what you want them to do without them having to do any of the work. And you're sort of like, look, I can do all this heavy lifting and you can just come along with me. That may be connected to the person that you've been trying to reach out to, that you're just doing all the heavy lifting and putting all the work in to get this reconciliation back. that you've been hoping for, and they may still act a little reluctant about it. They may still be a little standoffish, but try not to beat yourself up about it. People who act that way and who kind of act aloof on purpose to get you more eager to talk to them, they're not worth that energy, and they're not worth killing yourself over. So definitely measure the amount of energy you're putting into other people in the month of June, and try not to run out your battery for people who wouldn't do the same for you. So let's take a look at the timeline of events. Well, the timeline of what's going to happen in the month of June for you. I've pulled 5 cards because June covers 5 calendar weeks in 2022, but these don't necessarily have to be exactly week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll just give us a sort of general overview of how things are going to happen in what order in the month of June. So we start with the 6 of Swords, as well as happiness and potential. Then we go to the Hierophant, as well as uplift and wallflower. Then we have temperance, as well as recover and bloom. We have the 7 of Cups, as well as conscious, and release. And finally we have the Knight of Swords, as well as destiny and self-care. So at the beginning of the month, I definitely see you kind of moving into a better place and moving into smoother waters. This could be you finally figuring out a way to approach this person or to approach this situation where you want things to work out, and you're feeling really good about the potential of what could happen if you make this transition and you let go of the baggage that you've been carrying regarding this connection or this situation. And you're feeling really good at the beginning of the month. As we move into the Hierophant and uplift, it gives me the sense that someone in your life is really helping to kind of hype you up and show you all the amazing ways that you are such a great person in their life. The Hierophant talks about foundations and tradition. So this could be you finding the way to get back to the beginning and start again and build up this relationship with this person, or build up the foundations of whatever you're trying to build in the month of June. You've kind of found your way out of the unfinished business. You found your way out of the cycle that you had been perpetuating, and you found some sense of closure with whatever happened before so that you can move forward. And as we move on to the middle of the month with temperance and recover, as well as bloom, I can see that the middle of the month is going to be very quiet for you. It's going to be very much about you finding balance and recharging your battery. You may have done a lot in the first couple weeks or in the first half of the month that wore you out and made you feel like you need a break. So you're taking a step back in the middle of the month. You're giving yourself permission to slow down, and that is helping you to recharge and to get your energy back so that you can really push forward with this new cycle that you're starting, this new chapter of your life. And then we go to the 7 of Cups and conscious, as well as release. And this gives me the energy that you realize how many options you have and how much you have to look forward to. But it also, you're becoming conscious of all the stuff that you are holding on to that you don't need anymore. And you're starting to let go of stuff that no longer serves you. And you're really giving a good hard think about what it is you want to carry on with in your life and what it is you no longer want. And I think that comes from taking the time to find the balance and to find moderation and to recover from maybe taking on more than you could handle for a long time. And you realize that not every opportunity offered to you is necessarily meant for you. And that's sort of coming into your conscious awareness in the month of June and allowing you to let go of the idea that you need to have more, and let go of things that don't belong in your life so that you can focus on the things that do. And finally, at the end of the month, we have the Knight of Swords and Destiny, as well as self-care. And that tells me that you're putting the focus on yourself and what you want. You are pushing forward with an idea that feels right for you, and your situation is turning in a direction quite quickly that feels good to you and feels like now that you've let go of all of this and you've had your closure and you've put everything down and rebalanced your life, you feel like you're finally doing something that is right for you, that sings to your soul rather than burdens it. And I don't see anything necessarily bad in the month of June for you. You definitely start out on a high note, and it just continues from there for you to realize what you're holding on to still that no longer belongs in your life. And that tension we talked about where you're like just waiting on something to happen, it's releasing. And you feel lighter and more like you can do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to wait around for this thing anymore because it's out in the open, it's gone, it's happened, it's done. You can breathe and you can finally focus on yourself and what you want and move forward with your own plans. So before you go, I just want to get you a little bit of advice from Spirit, from the Divine, from the universe, whatever it is you personally ascribe to. I think it's important to include advice in tarot readings because that is where tarot shines the most for me. So we have the Four of Rings, conservation and practicality. We have Lapis Lazuli with consciousness. We have Feyborn, and we have space. The quality of your life has more to do with what you remove from your life than what you add to it. Give yourself the gift of space. So this advice definitely hits on what we were talking about before. I think you really need to bring into your realm of consciousness what you're carrying that no longer belongs to you. You've got all this weight on your back, and it's important that you shed whatever it is that no longer serves your soul, that no longer serves your purpose in life and what you want out of life. You need to conserve your energy and save up your energy and be practical about what you take on, because if you take on too much, you're going to end up crashing. And I think the month of June for you is really all about clearing out that stuff that no longer belongs to you, making space for yourself and the things that you want and the things that you that make you happy. And you're making this kind of oasis for yourself where you can bloom and you can be yourself without having to take on the burden of the past, of other people, because you're starting to realize that you are a magical being and you deserve to be happy and to feel like you can do what you want without having to worry about carrying all this other stuff, all this baggage, all this responsibility that doesn't belong to you. So definitely make sure you're thinking about that in the month of June, thinking about how much you're holding that you shouldn't be. I'm just going to get you an affirmation from the Dreamer's deck. So can we have an affirmation for pile number 2, please? Affirmation for pile number 2. Have an affirmation for pile number 2, please. Oh. There she is. I know that my dreams are bigger than my fears. I'm going to take risks. Thank you so much for watching this reading, pile number 2. I hope that it brought you some insight that you were looking for, and I hope that you have the most amazing month of June. If you love this reading, then make sure you come back for my next one, and I will see you then. Thank you so much. Bye. Hi, pile number 3. If you chose the Peach Adventuring Heart, then this is your reading for the month of June 2022. We're going to start out getting an overall energy reading for the month of June for you. What energy is surrounding the month and what you may be dealing with in the month overall. We will take a bit of a detailed look into your career or studies, your love life, and your personal or spiritual life. Then we will get a timeline that will show us a more detailed overview of the month and what order things are going to happen. And then we will get you some advice to end the reading. So, we're going to start with these oracle cards that tell us the overall energy of what you're dealing with in the month of June. We have the Fox, the Key, and the Birds. We have Identity, Recognition, Self-Awareness, Examine, A Change in the Wind, and Inspiration. We also have Repurpose and Capricorn. So right off the bat, I definitely see things changing for you in the month of June. 12 could be an important number. It could be around the 12th of June that this happens. But I feel like this change is related to something you've been dealing with for a long time, where maybe someone hasn't been the most honest, or someone's been trying to kind of trick you or get under your skin. This could also relate to your work environment or your career path. But you're figuring something out in the month of June. You are getting the answer, the key that you've been looking for to unlock the door to where you want to go. I feel like maybe there's been a problem that's been going on for you for a while, and you've been trying to figure it out, but you haven't quite got there until now, until you finally figured out what it is that's going on, what it is you want, where it is you're going. And this inspiration for this change could come seemingly out of nowhere. It could come very quickly. And people may want to talk about that. They may want to talk about how you've changed, or how the decisions you're making are so different or bad in some way. But I feel like this change is really good for you. I think you're starting to recognize what you'll accept and what you won't, what you want and what you don't. And that's leading to this shift where you feel like you can really open up and be yourself. And you may not actually make any changes in the month of June, but I definitely see you getting the idea, coming to the realization, having that aha moment that kind of leads you to the change in the future. I think this is going to be very good for you. You're sort of, you're getting out the bad and like clearing out the negative energy so that you can move forward in a more authentic way. And you're becoming very aware of what it is you want and where you want to go and what you want to do. So let's take a more detailed look at your career or studies, depending on where you are in your life at this time. We have Temperance, as well as Gathering a Resilient Tools Knowledge. So this definitely speaks to me that you are still figuring things out when it comes to your career or your path of study, what job you want, what major you want to do. I feel like you're buckling down to balance out your skills, to learn more. You're searching for your purpose, and in doing so, you are trying to learn as much as you can about the things that you want to do. You're trying to learn a new skill, but you're definitely finding a sense of purpose in this knowledge. There's something that you're going to learn that kind of opens up a door for you and makes you realize, oh, this is it. This is what I want. So this is definitely a very study-heavy month for you, whether you're in school or not. I definitely see you trying to get to the bottom of something and putting in the work and putting in the time to get to the bottom of it. So for your love life, we have the Hermit, the Lovers, and facing an untamed expectation. Alright, so your love life may be a little steamy in the month of June. It feels like you're coming out of maybe being single for a long time and suddenly feeling a little bit of this fire around a certain person. You may have just like a really fun time with someone during the month of June. If you're already in a relationship, then maybe you guys are like changing things up a little bit. You're reigniting the spark, getting back to that honeymoon sort of phase. It definitely feels like things have been at a standstill in your love life for a bit, and now they're kind of opening up in a hot and heavy way all of a sudden. So yeah, you're definitely... It seems like something unexpected is going to happen in your love life that is very steamy. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but it's definitely something you didn't expect, and it's going to get you a little hot under the collar. These next two cards are for your personal or spiritual life. We have the Four of Wands, as well as Challenging a Resilient Tool's Guidance. So this for me says that maybe you are experiencing a little bit of confusion about how things are established. If you're still living at home, you might start to question sort of how things are done. There may be a tradition that you've upheld for a long time, but you're starting to think that maybe it's not what you want anymore. Maybe the direction you've been going in your personal life or your spiritual life just doesn't vibe with you anymore, and you're trying to figure out what direction you want and need to go in that will make you feel more fulfilled and more in tune with yourself. This isn't necessarily a bad energy. With the Four of Wands, it feels very stable and very secure, but at the same time with the Compass and Challenging a Resilient Tool's Guidance, it makes me feel like maybe you're shaking the foundations a little bit and getting out of your comfort zone when it comes to your spirituality or how you live your life on a personal level. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the timeline for your month of June. This will give us a more detailed look at how your month is going to progress. I have 5 cards because June covers 5 calendar weeks, but they don't necessarily have to be like week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is just sort of how things are going to go from one to the next across the month of June. So we start with the Emperor, as well as Illuminate and Courage. And then we have 5 of Pentacles, as well as Knowledge and Be Present, the Knight of Cups and Communicate, as well as Forgiveness, the World and success, as well as grow. And finally, we have the Seven of Wands and eternity, as well as serenity. So at the beginning of the month, it definitely feels like you're stepping into a sort of power mode. You're starting to experience this feeling like you need to take control of your life, and maybe that's because of whatever key you've discovered. Whatever comes to light seems to be happening in the very beginning of the month. Maybe even the first week, the first couple days. But it's going to require a lot of courage on your part and a lot of just authority over your own life and what you want to step forward and take this knowledge, whatever it is, take this this sudden realization and run with it to go in the direction that you need to go in. And we move into that to the Five of Pentacles and knowledge, as well as be present, which says use the hours, don't count them. And this makes me think that this is when you're digging deep and you're trying to figure out the knowledge you need. You're trying to learn all that you can, and that may be because you feel a little lost and you feel like you're on your own. For some of you, this could be that you have suddenly lost your job or lost some money or something like that, but you feel like you're on your own and the only person who can help you is you. And in order to do that, you're going to learn as much as you can. You're going to use your time as wisely as possible, and you're going to pick yourself back up because no one else is going to do it for you. So at the middle of the week, or the middle of the month, we have the Knight of Cups as well as communicate, and this is really about speaking your feelings. And even though you've had it tough, you still present yourself in a way that is beautiful and like nothing's wrong with you. You're not having such a hard time. You're really just flourishing. It's important to communicate your true feelings and maybe even forgive yourself maybe for being so hard on yourself. But we move into the fourth week of June, or the part between the middle and the end of June, and we have the World and success as well as grow. And I feel like this is when you're coming into your own. You've done the work, you've put in the time, you've communicated your feelings, and you've had this realization, and suddenly now you have it. The world is in your hands. Whatever it is that you've been striving for, learning about, pushing for is here, and is happening in the month of June. You've really gone through it though. You have grown through what you go through, and you've had to get your hands dirty, you've had to dig deep, but it's paying off. And the end of this cycle is opening up a new cycle for you. And you're feeling like you really got it done. You're feeling successful, you're feeling fulfilled, and you're feeling like you can finally move into something new because this is over with. Whatever this is ending. Whatever this is closing out. You're getting closure, and you can finally move into something else. And at the end of the month, with the Seven of Wands and eternity as well as serenity, this gives me the feeling that you finally feel like you've made it to the top. And maybe you're taking a bit of a time off, but you still feel very guarded even when you're taking time for yourself or trying to have a little bit of peace and quiet. But I feel like this is when everything is finally coming together, that you're on top of the world, and whatever it is you succeeded in, whatever it is you've got, you feel the need to protect it and keep it safe and keep other people from taking that from you. But you definitely feel a very big sense of peace after all this stuff that's happened to you over the month. It's going to be a very crazy month for you, I feel. Whatever this realization is that's coming in, whatever it is that you're working toward, it's going to be kind of intense. And just know that you're working toward everything that you wanted. You're working toward having the world at your feet and shining your light the way you want. And you're growing from this. Through this intensity, you're going to find serenity and find that you've grown and learned and become a better version of yourself, closer to your higher self. So, before you go, I just want to get you some advice from the universe, from spirit, from the divine, whatever it is you personally ascribe to. That is where this advice is coming from. So I think it's personally very important to give advice with tarot because that is where tarot shines for me the most. So we have the Ace of Cups, the Dawn of Cups in this deck, Curiosity and Discovery. We have Flower Agate, Expression. We have Full Circle, and we have Invitation. The words you speak are an invitation to life, a request to bring energy into form. Choose your words carefully. So this is definitely very new energy, and I feel like this advice is telling you to get out there, figure out what it is you want, and express yourself. Use your words to tell people what it is you want, and you're kind of starting over in the sense that you've come full circle. You've ended something that needed to end, and you're starting something new and beautiful. And it's important to keep a positive attitude about that, to express yourself in nice ways, in positive ways, and not to dwell so much on the past, to let go of what has come full circle and to embrace this new beginning, to get curious about where you're going, to discover new things about yourself and about your path. But it's very important for you to keep a positive energy through all this, because it's easy to dwell on what cycle has just ended, and instead of embracing what new cycle is beginning and how you've grown from the old and how you've become stronger. I just want to get you an affirmation before we end the reading. So can we have an affirmation for pile number 3? Affirmation for pile number 3. Whoa! Alright, well, I guess you're going to get 2. They just jumped right out of there. So, we have, I know that everything aligns for my highest good. I am trusting the process. And I know that I will sometimes feel heavy and disappointed. I am allowed to have bad days. Thank you so much for watching this reading, pile number 3. I hope that it resonated with you and gave you some insight that you were looking for. If you enjoyed this reading, make sure you come back for my next one, and I hope you have an absolutely incredible month of June. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!